Okay, so imagine you are just vibing, minding your business. You went to sleep last night like a normal prehistoric human, probably exhausted from chasing something that wanted to eat you, and now you wake up and literally everything is gone. The trees gone, the ground gone, your whole situationship with the landscape you grew up in, completely destroyed overnight. Everything is just white, cold, silent. And it is still falling from the sky like the sky itself is having some kind of breakdown. Bro, you have never seen snow. Your parents have never seen snow. Your grandparents, your great-grandparents, literally nobody in your entire bloodline going back hundreds of thousands of years has ever seen this. There is no word for it. There is no TED Talk. There is no survival guide. There is absolutely zero context for what you are looking at right now. Just vibes, cold, terrifying, inexplicable white vibes. And the worst part, you are standing there barefoot. This actually happened. Somewhere between 70 and 100,000 years ago, early humans started migrating out of Africa because apparently some of them looked at the warm, comfortable savanna they had lived in forever and said, you know what, I want problems. I want new problems. Let me walk north for several thousand years and see what happens. And what happened was winter, surprise. Now here is the thing scientists like Chris Stringer at the Natural History Museum in London have been studying for decades. These first humans did not hit snow immediately. First came frost. One morning they woke up and the ground was crunchy and white and cold and everything tasted like pain when they touched it with their bare hands. That alone would have been enough to send a modern person into full crisis mode. But these guys, they kept walking, absolute legends. Then came the real villain, snow. Full proper, this is not a drill, the sky is broken snow. Imagine being the first human to experience this and having absolutely nobody to text about it. No group chat, no way to post about it. You just had to stand there and process it alone with your prehistoric brain that was already working overtime just trying to figure out what a frost was last week. Scientists believe the first reaction was pure, unfiltered panic. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux at New York University has basically spent his whole career studying how the human brain reacts to stuff it does not understand, and spoiler alert, it does not react calmly. The amygdala, which is the part of your brain that is basically a tiny guy whose entire job is to scream, fired immediately. You did not think, you did not analyze, you just felt the ancient equivalent of nope, 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 nope. But here is the plot twist that absolutely nobody expected, they touched it anyway. Instead of doing the rational thing, which was obviously running back to Africa where things made sense, these absolute chaos goblins crouched down, picked up a handful of snow and went they tasted it, they watched it melt. They threw some of it, probably. They figured out that animals left tracks in it that you could literally follow like a GPS. Snow, it turns out, is the world's best tracking system, and these early humans discovered this purely by accident while trying not to freeze to death. Peak human energy. Geneticist Chunsheng Chen found something wild in the DNA of populations whose ancestors migrated the farthest from Africa. There is a gene variant linked to novelty seeking, basically the genetic version of seeing a sign that says, do not push this button and immediately pushing it, and it shows up way more in long-distance migrant populations. So these snow pioneers were not just brave. They were biologically wired to think the terrifying unknown thing looked kind of interesting actually. And because they stayed instead of fleeing, they accidentally invented a whole bunch of stuff. Fitted clothing, because it turns out wrapping a loose animal hide around yourself is not enough information when it is minus 20 degrees and the wind has opinions. Insulated shelters. Food storage, because winter has this fun rule where all your food disappears for several months and you have to figure that out. The bow and arrow got better because hunting in open snowy landscapes requires you to shoot from far away since you cannot exactly sneak up on anything when every step you take sounds like stepping on a bag of chips. Psychologist Detter Gentner at Northwestern University argues that winter basically forced early humans to invent future thinking. Before snow, you could just find food when you were hungry. Snow said no. Snow said you need to think about where food is going to be in 4 months, store it, protect it, ration it. Snow gave early humans anxiety, and honestly, it was probably the most productive thing that ever happened to the species. And then there is the part nobody talks about. What snow does to your brain when you just stand in it and look at it. It is silent in a way nothing else is. It makes everything unfamiliar. It is like the world hit a reset button and left a blank canvas. David Rothenberg, who writes about nature and consciousness, calls snow one of the most psychologically transformative natural experiences a human can have. And your ancestor standing in it for the first time, with zero scientific context and zero warm socks, was having that experience at maximum intensity. They were terrified, they were confused, their feet hurt, they had no idea what was happening or if it was going to stop. And then one of them reached down, picked up a handful of cold white nothing, held it while it slowly turned back into water in their palm, and thought something along the lines of, okay, I can work with this. That is the most Gen Z response to a crisis imaginable actually. Total chaos, brief panic, then figuring it out. The populations that learned snow did not just survive the cold. They developed the planning, the technology, the social cooperation, and the forward thinking that eventually became agriculture, writing, cities, and everything else. All because one very confused, very cold, very barefoot ancestor decided to touch the weird white thing instead of running from it. So next time it snows and you are upset about your commute, just remember, your ancestors saw this for the first time with absolutely no context, no coat, no coffee, and no idea if the world was ending, and they figured it out. No one is more built for this than you. Guys, if you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button and do subscribe for more related content. Thanks for watching.